Testing, testing, test. All right, welcome everybody. A minute there behind to get started, but very excited to have everyone here for the beginner trading boot camp. I'm going to give everybody a moment here to populate into the meeting because there was a registration process that you have to follow in order to get in with Zoom. So while I am doing that, I'm going to set up the chat here for everyone to be able to use. So give me 1 second while I do that. And I'm going to throw a message in here and say, Happy Monday. Happy Monday to everybody. Can you all see that? Just making sure. Okay, you cannot see the nothing in the chat. All right, let me try this again. Happy Monday. How about now? Yay! All right. Fantastic. Success. So we will use this to communicate for the next 3 nights. So if you guys have questions, please just put them into the in the chat, and I will make sure that I answer those for you. And this is being recorded, so you will have access to this moving forward. So, but just want to go through and say hello to everybody who responded here. Brandon, Nicholas, Sue, Daryl, Pam is here, Allison, Zoe. All right, hello. And I know some of you maybe you're being shy and aren't saying hello. That's quite all right too. But going to go ahead and get started and just say welcome everyone to the Beginner Trading Bootcamp. My name is Jeremy Ritz. I am the owner of Courage Pays Better Than Fear Trading, full-time trader and former educator, teacher, high school principal, and I am a teacher at heart. And so probably whenever I left behind the education world, I didn't think that I would miss it that much. But it turns out that as time goes on, I do miss it quite a bit. And I still love to teach. And I've been able to take what has really become my passion. And I can honestly say with full confidence that I'm one of those people who has found the thing that they are supposed to do. Isn't it funny too? I got like it looks like from the logo, I have like a little hair sticking out of my head here. And that is trade the stock market. And it's one of those things in terms of how it happened was just completely random, serendipitous, but I'm very grateful that it did. And because it's been such a blessing to me and my family, I love to share it and teach it. I talk to everybody about the markets and I have to like try to like temper it down because not everybody wants to hear about the stock market, but all of you do because you are here, and I'm excited to talk to you about that here tonight. So I'm going to pull up our slides, and then we're going to go ahead and jump in, and I'll talk to you about how this whole process here is going to work. All right, so just give me 1 second to do this. And so right before I came on here, I have 3 young children, and so I was putting the youngest two to bed. Um, so that's where I'm coming from. Anyway, here we are. We are night number 1 of the Beginner Trading and Investing Boot Camp. I'm going to provide you with all the fundamentals and basics you need to really get your journey started in trading and investing. And you may not want to trade, you may just want to invest. You'll leave here with fundamentals that you can apply right away. And the same thing with trading. But what I will say, and I always say this, is I would never tell you that, hey, complete this boot camp and just go right away, put all your money into a trade. No, we don't want to do that. We want to be smart. We want to understand risk. And we'll talk about all those things here tonight. But I do believe you will leave here after completing these three sessions with a solid understanding to begin your journey, to begin practicing, and to set yourself up to profit from the market. So I'm really excited about these 3 nights that we're going to have together. And the teacher and me, I want to make sure that we're very clear on what our outcomes are for this boot camp. And really, it's all going to start with mindset. We're going to spend a lot of time tonight talking about what it takes to succeed as a trader and investor because it's not easy. And so, anybody who thinks that, oh, it's just, you just click a button and you make money, sure, that's true, but there is time that goes into it. It's not something where you just sit down and you start doing it successfully right away. You have to learn, but through patience and practice, you can be successful in trading and investing. I'm going to make sure you leave here with a basic understanding of the function of the stock market, fundamentals of trading and investing. We'll look at real life examples of monthly profits, what it would look like in the life of a trader, even if you're not winning every day you can still be profitable. And I'll show you how that's possible. We're going to talk about candlesticks, which are the charts that we use for our trading and investing. And then I'm going to give you a simple, straightforward strategy for long-term investing that really you could use at the end of this boot camp. And it's very simple, very straightforward. I'll go over that with all of you. And one person who is new to the boot camp and who completes on the last night, we're going to have a quiz. So take notes. I did say in the email that I sent out, make sure that you're taking notes during these 3 nights because there will be a quiz the final night, and the winner of that quiz will receive cash to use to fund their trading account. So make sure you're taking notes. More details about that as we move forward. You have to be here all 3 nights to be eligible, but that will happen the final night. So again, take good notes so that you can win some cash. And in terms of what you are going to learn in this boot camp, it's going to be quite a lot. So you can see this huge list here. You're going to know what it means to be bullish, bearish, understanding that losing is part of the job of trading. Candlesticks, line charts, day trading, swing trading, investing, selling pressure, buying pressure. What's a brokerage? Shorting, going long, support, resistance. The trend is your friend. A hammer candle, hammer strategy, an R or risk unit, trailing stops, profit takers, counter trend trading, trade entries, active investing, and so much more. So we are going to cover a lot, and I'm going to try to keep my energy up for all of you here. And I'm excited to share all this with you. It's a lot of fun. So that's our list. And at the end of our 3 nights together, I'm going to ask, hey, were you successful in learning all of these things? And so just a little bit about me. Again, my name is Jeremy Ritz, and I am a full-time trader. And the really it starts for me, my family. You could see my 3 children here. I'm going to draw on the screen. This is my oldest, Roland. He is 10. This is my daughter, Millie. She is 7. And my youngest, this is Win here. He is 5. So they're all in school this year. It's the first time that's ever happened. And it's kind of a weird feeling having an empty house, but they're what it's all about. And you can rest assured they will know how to trade the markets. In my prior life, I was a high school principal for 7 years. And this is me here giving my final graduation speech to this lovely class here. It was a great school. And I'll talk more about my story here tonight. But that's what I used to do. I was in education, and that's why I love to teach so much. I love hot peppers, so I grow them. My dad comes out to visit me. We can peppers, so I'm a big fan of that. Love the holidays, love Christmas, love Halloween. So excited about that. I run my own business. So part of the beautiful thing about trading is it gives you so much flexibility because you're not, it's not like working a traditional 9 to 5, right? The majority of my time is spent studying and reading and preparing. And so I do have a pretty flexible schedule. And I like to build things. So I've been in the process of building businesses. One of them is my trading coaching business, hence why we're here tonight. And I'm also building my YouTube channel because I'm able to teach there through videos. And I'm going to ask that everybody, if you could do me a solid tonight, is just being a part of this boot camp. But if you haven't checked out my channel, and I'll share the link with you here before the night's over, if you can go check it out and subscribe, check out a few videos, leave a comment. We just went over 700,000 views. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, and so I try to put out a new long form content every day, along with several shorts. But it's all about educating people about the stock market. So I'm all in on the markets, and I can't wait to share that with you. And that's a little bit about me. And so we're going to talk more about that as time goes on. But let's get into it. Let's get into a little bit of content here. And you'll often hear these terms, and this is just very basic, but it's a good place to start. You'll hear the terms, and I'm sure you have, bullish and bearish. And I know I will be completely honest. When I started trading and learning about trading, I was like, what in the world? What does it mean to be bullish? What does it mean to be bearish? I don't get it. I don't understand. But it's very simple. When we talk about something being bullish or a market being bullish, it means that the market is going higher. All right. There's enthusiasm, there's optimism about businesses, and they're buying their companies and the prices are going up. So you will hear people talk about a bull market. A bull market goes up. We are currently in a bull market. When you hear the term bearish, it's just the opposite. It means that the market is going down. And so there are periods of time, and it's completely natural and normal that the market will come back or correct, as they call it. And just a point of note, the one thing that defines a bear market is whenever you drop 20% from an all-time high. So when you go below that 20%, you officially enter bear market territory. So if you're ever at a party or you're amongst friends, and let's say that the stock market drops below 20%, you could say, hey, the SPX just dropped 21% in the last 3 months. We're officially in bear territory. And you can act like you know what you're talking about a little bit. But again, those terms are just used to um, refer to which direction the market is going. And the last significant bear market that we had in the US stock market was in 2022. It lasted from January of 22 till October of 2022. It wasn't terribly long. Historically, bear markets are much shorter than your bull markets, anywhere from 9 to 13 months, whereas your average bull market is over 4 years. And a lot of people are fearful of the markets because they're saying, oh man, it's going to crash. I'm going to lose all my money. But if you go back from the inception of the S&P 500 and you look at it till today, even despite all those drops, the market does this. It's designed to go up. So that's a great starting point just to make sure that we understand that terminology. And what I want to show you here is a chart. This is a candlestick chart here. We're going to be talking a lot about this. And this particular chart is of one of the most actively traded stocks in the market, and it's Tesla. And there are days when Tesla is going very high, and there are days when this stock is just getting crushed and it's it's falling into the gutter. And people are able to profit off of those moves to the upside, to the downside. We'll talk about how to do both in this session. But for a starting point for us, I wanted to talk about, let's say that you entered a trade here on Tesla and you happened to get in here sometime last November and you entered at the price of $310.41. Okay. And stocks like Tesla or Microsoft, Nvidia, your Magnificent Seven stocks, these are the most highly profitable companies that are out there. They have periods of time where they can move over $100 in a pretty short duration. And we can see that from here, from this candle that we're looking at in November to this candle here, where Tesla almost hit $500, and this was, let's see, in December, that was around $490 minus 310.41. That was a $179 move. All right, so think about that for a second. This move, and really a little under a month or a little over a month, I can't specifically see those dates, was $179. Okay, so think about that. It moved $179. Okay, so now if we go to this slide here, and this is going to be more accurate with the numbers, we actually are getting out a little early. We didn't ride it all the way up there to that 490. So this is just a hypothetical situation. And let's say someone exited here at 434. We're going to be a little conservative. They didn't get out at that high up here at 490, but that's a $123.84 increase from where they entered at $310.41. And here's really the whole purpose of me showing this to you is because I want you to think about, all right, if you would have bought one share here, right? And you said, hey, this is a good spot to buy based on my understanding of the charts, based on the analysis. I'm going to trade Tesla here. Okay. If you would have bought one share, that would have generated a return for you, $123.84. All right. Now here's what we need to do. And this is the powerful part of the market. And this is where you have to really open your mind to this because it might seem like it's too good to be true, but it's not. If we have 10 shares and we've captured that move, $123.84, and take this into consideration, Tesla at one point today, pre-market was up over $30, right? But if we had 10 shares here and we caught this move, that would have been $1,238.40. Had we have had 100 shares, $12,000, 5,000 shares, $61,000, and on and on and on. All right. The purpose of showing you this is to really model and show what's possible in trading and how this works. Because when you start out trading, you're starting here. You're starting with one share, and you're probably not trading Tesla right away. You're probably going to trade a stock that's a little bit more affordable. But the same concept applies. You buy what we're essentially doing. We're buying low, we're selling at a high point or a resistance or before a resistance. We're capturing that profit, and that's how we make money from the markets, right? And it's unlimited. It's unlimited what is available via the markets because every year $4 quadrillion is exchanged just on the stock market. And that's just a stock market. That's not the bond market, which is infinitely bigger than the stock market. But here's a question for everybody is, and you can respond in the chat, yes or no. Would this work with 20,000 shares, 100,000 shares, or 1 million shares? So let's say you got in at that 310 price, 310.41, and you got out at the 420. Would you be able to do that? Or could you do that with 20,000 shares, 100,000 shares, or a million shares? Could you do that? Hypothetical. Yes, you absolutely could. All right. And it's possible. And again, you may not have the capital, right? I'm not making assumptions here. You may not have the capital to trade 20,000 shares. Maybe some of you do, whatever, no judgment. That's quite a lot of shares for Tesla. But the more important thing here is to understand what is available and what is possible through the markets. And here's the truth. As retail traders, we're not we're not going to be trading a million shares of Tesla, right? We just want a tiny fraction of these big moves. And if you could do that consistently over time, that is what can impact your wealth and help you grow your wealth, right? And then the other question that I have here too, what if you had got in earlier? And so instead of getting in at $310, let's say you bought when Tesla dipped in April of 2023, I believe it got down to around 155, 145, and you rode it from 145 up to 490. So there's always opportunities out there, and what's available is abundant. And so I'm a quitter. I must confess, I am a quitter. This is me here as high school principal. And this is me in my first year. I'm ready to take on the world. Let's go. I'm looking young, bright-eyed, but very clean cut. And then this was me towards the end. I'm almost embarrassed to look at this picture today. And it was a grind. High school principal, 7 years. I was away from my family so much. And, I don't know if you know any high school principals, but if you do the job right, it's a huge time commitment because we had almost 1,450 kids. And, you have an entire staff, you have the community, and you have to be committed to it. And so, you had to go to board meetings, football games, dances, and, I'd be gone 60, 70 hours a week. And it got to the point where I was like, look, I'm missing everything in terms of my kids growing up. And I just could not continue to do it. And I had, I guess, golden handcuffs at the time because my salary in my final year was $157,000. And if I kept progressing and moving up, it would be a lot more. And so I just didn't think that I could leave that behind, but it got to the point where the pain was so much that I had to find a way out. And I have a good friend, Edmund Fontana, who is in real estate, and he was like, "Hey, have you ever looked into trading, considered trading?" And I knew nothing about trading. The only thing that I did at that time was buy and hold stocks long term. So I had no clue. But he talked to me about it and showed me how he had left his job behind, pursued real estate, and made a life for himself. And I was like, you know what? It's now or never. And so on prom day of that year, I submitted my letter of resignation. I had this just burst of courage, and I was just like, I'm doing it. I'm quitting. I didn't know how to trade at the time. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I was just like, I will figure it out. A caveat here, I would never tell anybody to do what I did because I even look back on it. I'm like, what in the world? I had no insurance. I had to pay for insurance. I had no income. I had to figure it out. And trading wasn't even going to be my primary at the time. It was something different, but it ended up having to be my primary. So I am a quitter, but thankfully I did quit because it led me to where I am. And so what had happened was I the side business that I was trying to start did not work out as I had intended. All right, I'm trying to set up another camera here. It did not work out as I intended. And so what had to happen is trading, which was supposed to be my side gig, guess what? It was now my primary to where I had to make it work. And so give me 1 second, guys. Let me fix this here. See, I need like a studio crew here, but I'm not that important. Hang on 1 second here. So I had to make it work. So the side business failed, and it was like, all right, well, guess what? I'm trading full time now. And what I had to do was figure out how to make trading work and replace my income. And that was rather scary because I was still very early in the process of not knowing what to do. And looking at what I was making, a little over 13,000 a month before taxes and everything, and I was bringing home about $8,400. And here was the game-changing moment for me. And this, there, I actually made a video about it. It's on the channel, the YouTube channel. I did a trade on my cell phone. I don't know if you could see it. And at that time, I downloaded Robinhood, which is a fantastic app to get started trading and investing. I would highly recommend it. And I day traded Snapchat on my phone while I had a little bit of free time uh, in my office at school. All right. There was nothing going on. So I'd set up a trade, and in a few minutes, I made $283. I think it was like 5 minutes. So on my phone, I bought a handful of shares, and in 5 minutes, I made $283. And at that moment, I said to myself, it takes me, some days I work 14, 15, 16-hour days to make $396 a day as a high school principal. I just made $283 trading on my phone, and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And that at that moment, this light bulb went off in my head. I said, what is possible here? And I call my wife. I'm like, you're never going to believe this. I just made $283. And I called Edmund, and that was it. I was hooked, right? And so from there, I just really dove in and just started living, breathing, eating, sleeping, trading, and learning, and just trying to absorb as much information as possible. And I started trading real money right away. So there is what is known as paper trading, which is where you practice trade first on paper. You use real market data before you actually trade real money. I didn't do that, which is dumb. And the way I teach today is, and I wasn't taught this at the time, that you practice first. You have to practice first before you go live. Like I said, I didn't do that. I just went right to real money, and could have avoided losses, but it did teach me quite a bit early on. And the way it panned out in my first month of actual trading, when I was like, okay, this side deal is not working out, I have to trade. I made $4,860.03, which you could see is well short of what I needed to bring home of this $8,400, right? So I had a shortfall. I was like, man, that's all I made. And then thankfully, Edmund was like, hey, man, that's really good. Like, the first time that you're really trying to trade for profit, that's what you generated. You should be proud of yourself. I was like, yeah, you know what? I should be. And so, I still had enough money saved up to cover my bills. And I was covered just because I'd saved a lot over the time of principal. So I had several months in the event that I really, hit a wall. But that first month was 4860. And so I just kept studying and preparing. And then in that second month, I made over $10,000. And that moment I had, like that Snapchat trade where it was like, wow, what is possible? That just kept happening again. And then I always used to say, man, what is it like to have $1,000 trade or just $1,000 day? And I had one of those, and that question came up again. What's possible? What's possible? And I could sit here and tell you today that what's possible in the market, it's incredible, right? And there's no cap on it. Now, that's not to say that it's all wins because it's not. I just published a video earlier today about how I was up $115,000 on a trade and letting emotion get the best of me. I let all that profit slip away because I got too greedy. So it's not sunshine and rainbows all the time, right? You're going to have losses. You don't have to have losses like that. But the purpose of this is just to tell you what is possible through the markets. And that's really what I'm trying to drive home here. And so here you can see this is my first, these are my numbers from that $10,000 month that I had after the $4,000 first month of trading. And you could see, it started with a loss to open that month, down $319, saying, oh man, right? Because still new at that point, not accustomed to what it felt like to lose. And then you could see here, all right, next day came back with a win. It didn't wipe out that loss completely, but it got me back into the green. Then I flipped positive overall. And then from there, I just started stacking wins. And then here was that $1,000 day, right? And then I had another $1,000 day. Then in the middle of the month, I had a loss. And then I had a win, another loss, a loss. And then I just finished the month strong. And you could see that overall, I was trading a risk unit of $400. And we're going to talk about risk units in this boot camp. Basically, what this means is that for every trade that I took, I could not lose more than $400. And that's one of the myths that people believe about trading is that you're going to risk your whole account. No, you protect it by having a stop loss. Again, we'll talk more about that. But this month, 16 profitable days, 4 unprofitable days. You could see the largest profit that I had, the largest loss. But this shows you what my numbers look like during that second month. And that's where really I was like, you know what? I could do this. I can make this happen. And so just kind of going over the most profitable trades that I had in that first 6 months. You could see here, we went from 1,000 to 2,000, from 2,000 to 3,000, from 3,000 to 4,000. And then what my site said on next was like, I wonder what it's like to have a 5-figure trade. And, talking to trader friends or people who I was learning from at that time, seeing them have a 5-figure trade and just saying, man, what is that like? And then when actually having the experience, it just felt surreal. And so again, these numbers here, which these are great numbers trading, it doesn't even scratch the surface of what's possible. And here's the thing, this is available to everybody if you're willing to put the time in and to learn. And again, so the other part of this too is just the time freedom. If there's one thing, like I'm not, if you, there's some different types of traders out there. You see some of the real flashy people who are just like all about like oh, I just want all these millions of dollars, like the fancy stuff. That's not me. I'm about my family and the time freedom. I have time freedom and I'm able to pursue different things. And one of the coolest things that first year was being able to drive out in an RV to visit my dad in Indiana because, and never able to do that as a principal because you're working all the time. But the cool thing, and this is a true story too, driving back from Indiana on my phone, my wife was driving the RV. I was able to make $6,000 trading on my phone. We had a very long ride, but it just goes to show that trading is location independent. You could do it from anywhere. You could do it in an RV. And I talked about a 5-figure trade. And, I've had multiple 5-figure trades. And it doesn't stop there because I've had 6-figure trades. I haven't had a 7-figure trade. But again, the purpose is to tell you that all these things are possible through the market. This doesn't mean that you don't even have to aspire to have a 7-figure trade, a 6-figure trade, a 5-figure trade. But what's important, and I believe this for everyone, you should understand how the market works. You should understand the basics of investing. You should know how to open a brokerage account, how to put money into stocks, how to buy stocks, how to set up recurring buys. You should know how to do that. You owe it to yourself because it's pretty simple and it's not as complicated as it seems or as it's portrayed to be. And I think that's what scares a lot of people away. I know I was intimidated by it at first, but living it and having gone through it and just being in this world, I want everybody to know about this. And that's why I'm so passionate about it. And so hopefully that comes through, when I'm sharing this. But again, like I said, it's not all butterflies, sunshine, and rainbows because you will get punched in the mouth as a trader. If you're an investor, you're going to have a position that it's going to be up for a period of time, and then inevitably it will experience one of those downturns. It just happens. And going back to when I first started trading that first year, month number 3, I had a $7,000 loss. And I remember it to this day. I tried to short Nvidia and it happened to be on the day where the bear market bottomed and then it bounced and ripped. And I took my stop loss out. I took my protection out and just kept going and going. And then finally, when it got close to $7,000, I was like, I have to close this. And then I was left thinking to myself, what did I just do? Like I just lost 7 grand. How the heck am I going to pay my bills? And again, that was stupid. That could have been avoided. That was all on me. Because I did not follow my rules. But the important thing here is you're not going to win every trade. It's all probabilities, it's all mathematics. And you're going to lose trades, right? Traders lose, and you have to become good at losing. And again, like we talked, the risk you can predetermine, and you should in advance. Hey, my risk for every trade is $50, $25, $100. It could be any amount you want. And just understand that, hey, I'm going to lose. It's just going to happen. And if you can embrace that and be okay with that and comfortable with that, then you're going to be just fine as a trader because it's the emotional component of trading and investing that is the hardest part for people to overcome. And even today, I still lose. There's nobody out there who wins all their trades. That's just not realistic. It's part of the process. I had a losing trade today. I had a losing trade on Friday. It happens. But if you position yourself right, eventually you're going to catch a handful of trades in a month. And if you're losing small and you're winning big, you're going to be profitable. All right. So I want to be very clear that it's not all just, hey, I sit down at a computer and I'm crushing it, I'm killing it. That's not how it works. You're going to have losers, but good traders, good investors know how to minimize losers, maximize winners. And then I also have this Netflix logo here, and I actually just published a video today about I had a big profit up on a trade here with Netflix, and then I let it all just go to dust, and it's very sad. If you want to hear more about that, I'll save the time, but that is on the channel. You can check that out. And that was a hard one. That was greed got punished in me that day. And so I deserved all of that. And the best way that I can give an analogy for trading is it's like riding a bike. Think back in the day when you were learning how to ride a bike, right? Maybe there were some prodigies out there who just got on a bike and just were, that was my daughter. She was crazy good on a bike. But this was me. I was this kid here. But you remember that you had to keep getting on your bike and keep trying. You would fall, you'd scrape your knee, you would get back on, you fall, you get upset, you get frustrated, but you had to keep getting back up and doing it. And then eventually you'd be this happy guy right here, just cruising along, dad's happy, mom's happy, right? Yes, I did it. It's the same principle. It's the same concept with trading. If you're willing to work through this frustration of not knowing how it's going to go and understanding that you're going to fail and you're okay with that because you're willing to learn, this is what's on the other side. And this smooth selling, riding that bike, those are your winning trades. But you have to be willing to go through this and you have to accept that. Right. So that's what I liken trading to is that process of riding a bike. And that's the hard part. It's learning. But here's the thing. Think of any other skill. We pursue, learning a language, learning an instrument, or, learning whatever it is in our lives. But why not learn something that's going to pay you money that financially can help you be in a more secure place where you can invest, you can trade. And if you steadily commit yourself to this, your skill will only continue to improve over time. And it's not like this requires any physical output. It's all up here, right? And when you work at it and you learn it, then it's going to pay dividends for you. No pun intended. It's all mental. But like I said, this is not a get rich quick scheme. This is just like anything else that you have to work at. If you work at it and you put the time in, and I often say too to my coaching students who are really eager and want to make money like right away, like yesterday they wanted to make money. And I say the question I often ask is, if you can't have the profits that you want today, but you can have them 1 year from now, do you not want it? Because you have to wait, right? And I don't know about you, but if I had to wait a year, but then have that skill to be profitable, I'm waiting, right? But that's where that patience component, putting the time in studying and learning, that's going to get you to where you need to be. And so when we talk about trading and investing, it's all about mindset and believing and having a growth mindset that you're flexible, you can grow, you can learn, you can get better. And you have to believe that you can do it. You have to be committed to growth. You have to be somebody who believes in continuous improvement and that you can learn anything and that you'll make it happen. And to go along with that, you've got to be disciplined. You have to be somebody who is able to hold himself to a schedule, to study, to be goal oriented, to say, all right, I want to understand these trading concepts by this date. And most importantly, you have to be in control of your emotions because you are going to be tested with those days when you're in a trade and it goes against you and you're losing and you're about to have a loser. That's not easy. But you have to be able to look at it and be like, all right, does this suck? Yes. Is this part of the process? Yes. And you're not going to be there right away, but you've got to be in a position where you can control your emotions. If you are somebody who really struggles emotionally and really gets upset easily and that throws you off, trading is not for you. Just I'm being completely honest. And I would not want you to put yourself into this because this will test you. It will. And here's the other part too. Trading is almost like therapy because it's going to force you to confront some very harsh realities about yourself that you have to accept and address. But the difference here in life, sometimes the things that we know that we need to fix, we can maybe get away with not fixing them. Here's the thing, in trading, either you fix them or you lose money. So it's very, very interesting the self-work that you go through as part of being a trader. So again, all these important things with mindset. If you got to believe in abundance, the abundance of the markets, because it's all there. You can't have a scarcity mindset and not think that money is not available to you because it absolutely is. And you must invest in yourself, right? That's super important. All right. So why trade? Why trade and invest? Well, you can supplement your current income. You can accelerate the building of the wealth that you currently have. You can take control of your own money and manage it on your own, which is something that I do and I enjoy doing. So it's not just the trading piece, but managing all my own long-term investments. And with enough time and practice and study and understanding, you could do that as well. Some people want to learn how to trade so that they can replace their employer and their income, which then gives them their time back, which for me right now, I get one of the coolest things, my dad was actually out to visit me and we were talking. I said, it is such a blessing that every day I get up, I get to decide what my schedule is. Like I'm essentially retired from W-2 work and I get to work on all the things that I want to. So that's a really great thing about trading. You could do it anywhere, location independent, and you're in complete control of what you earn every day, which is what I really like. At the end of the day, if I didn't make money, if I lost money, or if I made money, I could look in the mirror and be like, all right, you're a big dumb idiot. Great job. Or hey, it just wasn't your day. And so there are so many benefits of it. But again, everybody owes it to themselves to learn the markets and at least understand investing 100%. I have no question that if you're here tonight, you follow through and learn the stuff. I promise you give it a year, you'll always be involved in the markets. All right. I'm skipping ahead here too fast. All right. So I actually jumped over this one. So I want you guys to just imagine, and again, tonight we're getting more into the mindset. We're really going to dig into the technicals tomorrow. But allow yourself to imagine if you really commit yourself to learning, trading, and investing, how it can change your life, right? And think 6 months from now, what type of changes that will cause in your life, right? If you really dedicated yourself to that. And think about something that you really went after for 6 months that you were successful at. I'm sure you can think of something like that for you, right? Or what about 1 year from now? 5 years from now, if you really double down on this, or 10 years from now, how would that change your life, the life of your family? How would it improve the quality of your life? There are so many things. And here's the other cool thing too. There are strategies out there. A lot of people think of, rental income, that's only accomplished via real estate, right? Well, little known fact, there are these things in the stock market known as options. And if you own shares of a company, you can actually rent out your stocks monthly for passive income. So trading is more than just buying shares low, selling them high, or shorting, selling high, buying low. There's other things you could do. So again, keep your mind open because what's available is significant. All right. And I skipped over this one. The myths about trading and the excuses that we'll hear. Oh, trading's gambling. No, it's not. You're not risking your entire account. You're studying. You're actually a student of markets, of candlestick charts, of earnings reports. Gamblers are just like, all right, I'm going to throw some money on this. No, this is intentional. You're studying, and you're not risking everything. You determine what you risk and you protect yourself with automated stop losses and profit takers in your broker. It's too complicated. It's too much math. It's really not. It's second grade math. That's all it is. I don't have a degree in finance. You don't need one, right? I majored in English, right? I need 8 monitors. You see these big elaborate setups for trading and investing. No, you don't. I have a little MacBook. That's all I use. That's it. You don't need anything. You need to sit in front of the computer for 12 hours a day. I do not sit in front of my computer for 12 hours a day. I trade from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Now, I study and read a lot. I do, but I could do that whenever. So I get up pretty early. I'm studying and reading then. Um, so it's not true. I can't learn it. Yes, you can. I don't have the money to trade. There's ways to access capital. They have what are known as prop accounts where you can trade futures on prop accounts. So you don't even have to have your own money to trade. The economy stinks. It's a bad market. The stock market is not the economy. The economy is not the stock market. So keep that in mind too. And regardless if it's and these are terms that we covered at the beginning, a bull market or a bear market, you can still make money. That's the other thing. So those are all lies, excuses about trading. So the whole purpose here is just to really show you what's possible through the market, show you my story, go into some of the mindset here. And I really want you guys to understand that the profits of the market are available to everyone. I'm not the only profitable trader who is out there. There's tons of them, right? And if you're willing to dedicate yourself to learning, you can have a piece of that too. And hopefully, over these 3 nights, I could show you the fundamentals, the foundations, so that you continue to learn this and you continue to pursue it and that it impacts you in a positive way. And then you teach other people how to do it and you become as excited about the markets as I am. And that's really what I'm hoping for you guys after these 3 nights because um, I just love this stuff. So hopefully, and this happens too. I have these boot camps and then I end up connecting with somebody from the boot camp and then we're talking about the markets from there. So who knows, maybe that'll be us at some point. So if you want to learn more, again, I actually I want to share a couple things here. So the first thing, let me share with you my YouTube channel link so you guys can check this out. And again, if you can give me a subscription, that would be fantastic. I would really appreciate that. So I'm going to share that first. Here is the YouTube channel. Okay. And then if you want to, I can share that with you tomorrow. So, um, if you have if you want to set up some time to chat with me, and just talk more about trading and just kind of see what's out there. I'll have a link for you. I'm not even going to share it tonight. We'll wait till tomorrow. But we could set up a time for a call, and I can go over some of those things with you. And then I think I already emailed you guys my cell phone number, so you guys have that. You can text me or email me again, so I can help you however I can. And then let's do this. So here's what I'll tell you. Tomorrow we're gonna hit the technicals hard. Again, this is really just foundational mindset stuff, but be ready because when we start, we're gonna jump right in. This just kind of lays the foundation, and we do have a lot to cover over these 2 days. Have that notebook ready. And remember, anything I covered tonight is fair game for the quiz for the trading funds on Wednesday. So just make sure you're taking notes. Questions here. Let's do some questions to wrap up. Vic asked, why would somebody rent a stock when they can buy it? So you actually have to own the stock and then you're renting out the stock to someone. Uh, so you're renting out the stocks you own to someone else because you want to make profit, but you don't want to sell the stock. It's like some Jedi mind stuff right there. How many stocks do you recommend on your watch list when paper trading? Pam, that's a great question. Here's what I would tell you. If you're just starting out, I would put no more than 4 tickers on your watch list on TradingView to get started because early on, it's about just becoming a master of a small domain and you don't want to have too much. When you have too much, then it's going to be overwhelming and you're going to get confused. So I would stick with 4 to start. As you do this longer, then you can expand your list to where you have more, but less is more in the beginning until you get your feet under you. Okay. Dara, you are welcome, sir. I hope you're doing well, man. Appreciate you being here. What stocks would you recommend for starters? And that kind of goes along with what Pam asked. So I would say this, when you're starting out, a lot of people have a tendency to want to trade penny stocks. There's just stocks that are $5 or under. Stay away from penny stocks, please, unless you want to lose all your money. There's a way to trade them, but you don't want to start there because you'll get pump and dump because a lot of times those stocks are easily manipulated by people with deep pockets. So stay away from those. Stick with Microsoft, Meta, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Apple, Broadcom, Netflix. Um, I mean, there's so many more I can give you, but I would just say stay within those the Mag 8. They're a little pricier, but that's really where you want to do your trading and investing. Those companies are reliable, they're profitable, great leadership, they're not going anywhere, and they're often predictable in terms of their patterns, right? So that's what I'd say to start to learn. Um, and there we'll go over more stocks, as we go on. Where do you do your research at to find out which tickers you're going to trade? So that's really just kind of a process along the way. The more that you do this, you learn about companies. But TradingView, which is the charting software, or it's an application that I'm going to show you guys to use and that I recommend. There's a lot of news and research that's available there. You can also you know, any of the social media outlets out there, you can find some decent resources or news articles, or even your broker. So I use Interactive Brokers. They have a ton of research that's available there. So um, it's really just picking, trying. And again, I'll go back to what I said about the number of stocks. Less is more. So maybe just have like your primary source where you go for your hub of information. I just stick with TradingView. And then here's what I'll do. If I really want to dig into something and learn more, then I'll use social media, specifically X. And I know that it can be a bit of a cesspool in terms of some of the stuff that people post out there. However, in terms of fintech and searching tickers, you can pull up a lot of good information there. So that's kind of the process that I follow. Allison asked, what level of Robinhood should we get? So I would just start with just a little basic individual Robinhood brokerage account. And it's pretty simple to start and open. Um, but yeah, just like it should just be a basic individual brokerage. And I think you can use any amount to open it up. But it's a great starting point. That's where I started. That's typically where I tell people to begin is there. And then depending on what you're looking to do, if you want to trade, you're going to want to move into like a Thinkorswim or an Interactive Brokers. Even though Robinhood has expanded their tools, they have what is known as Robinhood Legend. It's like a trading platform. It's not going to be as robust as some of the others, but it's still a really good place for beginners to start. Brandon says, I lost $17,000 in a penny stock. Ouch. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I hear you. I understand. Yep. Yep. Tesla. Yeah. Tesla's another good one to trade. It's just that's a very volatile one. It almost trades like a penny stock sometimes. Adam, hey Adam, I saw that you messaged me, man. I got to get back to you. I hope you're doing well. It's great to hear from you. How many trades do you do on average a week or a month? So I probably take one, maybe two trades a day, and really, I'd say 90% of the time is just one. I take one trade, and um, whatever happens, that I'll lock in a profit. And sometimes because you set your profit target, and we'll go over this too, it doesn't fully run to the profit target, but once it gets profitable, I'll start trimming the position and taking profits and then moving my stop loss to protect myself. So I try my approach. I'm very conservative. As soon as I'm profitable, try to start locking money in right away, and then get out. So then I just go about my day. So I would say one to two trades. It's not a lot. When I first started, I was doing like 20, 25 trades a day. That's out of control. Yeah, it's been a while, man. It's been a while, but it's great to hear from you. Um, All right, Pam, if you have all those on your list, that's good. Just stay in there, pick four and focus on four, really learn those charts and those patterns. And that's all you need to do I'm telling you, when you try to do too much in this, especially early on, that's a recipe for overwhelming yourself and losing money. Less is more. Um, Yeah, we'll go over a Robinhood account. We could do that tomorrow for sure. I'll show you guys how to set that up. Yep. Mike, you are welcome, sir. I hope you're doing well. Uh, Daryl, do you hold long as well? Yeah, so I have my long-term positions. So that's like my long-term investment portfolio. I have that. Uh, and so I'm like in terms of the crypto space too, I'm a long-term Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and Cardano holder. I don't trade crypto. I buy and hold because I think there's exponential potential on those. But I do swing trades. So Daryl, so I'll swing trade anywhere. So anything, it could be a couple weeks, a couple months. But if I'm in something long term, then I'm in it long term. I'm just holding forever. And I only buy though when they're at a nice support. Um, what time frame? So for day trading, 3 minute, but I use all the time frames to confirm. For swing trading, I'm using the daily and weekly time frame. Brandon, so at this point where you found the tickers that work for you and roll with those long term, or are you different every day? For day trades, it's different every day. So so my study on the weekend on Saturdays, I'll do my analysis and my charting. And then I share it with our group. And I'll typically have 3 to 5 stocks that I'm watching for day trades during the week. And then I'll just trade within that 3 to 5 during the week. And I'll just typically stick with it. So for instance, last week, Palantir, PLTR, which is a decent stock to trade, actually a really good one. It had pulled back for a period of time and I wasn't expecting a bounce and I wasn't getting a huge one, but I finally caught it. And so then once I caught it and got the move, then I was like, all right, that's off my list. Let me look for another one. So all the work to find what I'm going to trade is done the night before or the weekend before. So it's not something where I would recommend you just get on there and like, all right, let me just trade. You've got to put the time into doing your research. Stride, I haven't heard of it. I could look at that before tomorrow and I can give some feedback on that. Um, so Darren, when you say what percentage of my account do I hold long, are you saying like percentage of my cash is allocated into swing trades? It depends. So, for instance, maybe about a month ago, I was in a pretty decent size swing trade on Apple because it was a laggard and it was just kind of not doing much of anything. So I went pretty decent size on that first swing trade, and then it had a pretty big move, and I got out of it. That was maybe I don't even. I mean, I don't go too huge. 10 to 15% of my account. If I have high conviction, I try not to go super large with it, and I don't use margin on swings. For day trades, I will. But I guess I don't really have hard and fast rules for saying I can't exceed this percentage for an account. I guess I don't operate that way. Now I'll never have all my cash tied up in a swing though. Um, so I won't do that. But that has changed too over time as my account has grown. So that's a little different from where I started to where I'm now. It's obviously different. All right. All right. If you guys can give me if you got value from this session tonight, give me a one in the chat. All right. Good. That makes you feel good. That makes you feel good. You guys got some value here. Cool. So we will be back here tomorrow night at 8:30. We're gonna get into the technicals. Like I said, we're just gonna jump right in. We will do a practice quiz so we can simulate what it'll be like on Wednesday. If you guys have any questions ahead of time, just go ahead and email me. I'll have the link if you want to schedule a call with me. I'll put that in there tomorrow. And we'll look at the Robinhood account. I'll look up Stride and we'll be back after it then. All right, everybody, have a great night. It was fun spending some time with you, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Take care.